Hi everybody, this is Rosa Sharon and I'm back again with another movie review. I just recently watched Disorderlies, which was a movie I really didn't know that much about, but I did know about the Fat Boys, so I guess that proves that I am much more aware of 90s culture than I would like to admit to. But none of the Fat Boys are still alive, which is really quite sad, but it's a cute little movie. I wouldn't say it's like one of the best movies ever made, but it's lighthearted, it's fun, it's slapstick. There's no real plot. It's just fun. I mean, this is one of those movies that you can watch, turn your brain off, and just laugh like an idiot at, because it is very, very funny. If you're a fan of the Three Stooges, or the Marx Brothers, or Laurel and Hardy, Abbott and Costello, it goes all the way back into that old, slapstick kind of thing, which I love. I adore slapstick, especially when it's done right and when comedic timing is really quite good. So I have to say, as somebody who writes comedically, comedy is hard. Comedy is something that you have to learn. Comedy, you either got it or you don't. And as a person who grew up with kind of a challenging childhood, I had to learn how to laugh at myself. I had to learn to laugh at the situation, make the most out of it, and live my life on my toes. Improvisation, that's what comedy is. And this is more of the physical variety. It's not more, jokes that are puns or anything like that. It's just straight out fun. And the actor who played the old man, I loved him, because at first he wants nothing to do with these orderlies that his rotten nephew has hired in order to kill his dad. And it's all because he wants the money. And actually, that plot in real life happens quite a bit if somebody's got, boatload of cash, especially if they don't like their parent per se, or they just lived in a trust fund and they want to live high off the hog and not have to worry for the rest of their days. And I thought, no. Take care of your assets. Life is more than assets, and then you can see that. That's one thing I really like about this film, is it capitalizes on that whole relationship. And this movie wouldn't have been able to have been made today, because there's a lot of kind of racial stuff. I thought it was funny. I mean, I've grown up with friends of all varieties, all different walks of life, and I consider myself non-racist, because I mean, my friends are all varieties and we love each other. It doesn't matter, we're all human. So I love these people. I don't look at skin color. I look at content of character. I mean, I want to show you something. Speaking of content of character, I just recently created my own variety. It's gonna be a Bishonen thing, but see these guys? That's my crew. Yeah, that's my crew. They're called the Fashionables. I haven't really written the Fashionables as of yet, but I've seen so many Bishoho and Bishonen things. I'm like, I'm gonna do a Bishonen version of just, they're middle-aged guys. This is what's going to be so funny, because usually when you have an anime, it's younger women or younger men, coming into their own and kicking ass and taking names. This is going to be middle-aged guys. So it's going to be a little bit weird, but it's going to be fun, because I've always wanted to do something like that. As usually when I write something Bishoho, I have a teenager, like my pizza cutter girl. I forget her name, but she had a pizza cutter as a weapon. And it was hilarious. That was a lot of fun. I think it was called Slice of Life or something like that. I can't remember the name of it, but it was something I wrote a long time ago. And I think my best character, other than my quantum jumper, which, yeah, she's extremely powerful. She's from another planet. She had to evolved to get to the point where she could actually jump from place to place in space and time. But I have another character who is powerful, or even more powerful than she is, and she can create with words, either spoken word or written word. And she can jump into books for inspiration, and she can recruit characters from books. So I liked her quite a bit, because I had another one who was a Verba Encantry, or you have the Verba Enchanter. You have the Verba Encantry, who is female, or you have the Verba Enchanter, who is male. Verba being word, and Enchanter, you know, obvious play on words there. But they were fun to write. I mean, they wrote themselves, basically. They just came into being. And those characters there wrote themselves and came into being, because I wanted to do something like that. And Disorderlies, that actually kind of inspired me, because, you know, when they first come into their own and realize they have power from these articles of clothing, it's going to be like, they're fish out of water. It's basically a fish out of water story. And that's what Disorderlies was. As far as giving it a score, I give it a thumb up, because it's a good film. It's a very good film. It's, you know, a lot of fun, very lighthearted, very funny, and it has a lot of good heart behind it, and there's good message to it. And I like the characters. The fat boys especially were just great. I would give it 3.5 out of 5, because it's good, even though it was considered kind of a bad movie at the time. It was fun. It's just an enjoyable film, and I'm like, yeah, I want this part of my film collection, because I like a lot of obscure movies, and this is one that, like I said, you can turn off your brain and not care, because it's one of those frivolous movies that really doesn't have that much focusing on story, and a lot of it is just done for comedic sake. And as somebody who loves comedy, even though it's not written that well, the timing in this is just godly. It's just top tier timing. I mean, if you really want to see how physical comedy works, and works well, especially with the diverse cast here, which the cast is outstanding. I mean, it's good. It is that good. So I highly recommend it. If you haven't heard of it, go watch it. It's on YouTube for free. So I'm glad I saw it. And then recently there was another film. I just saw ad for it. It's called Second Sight. And I thought, wait, I haven't heard of this before, but Bronson Pinchot is in it. And I love Bronson Pinchot. I especially love Matt Lynn Baker, who starred opposite him in Perfect Strangers, which I adore. Perfect Strangers, and of course spin-off from Perfect Strangers, Family Matters. We all know I love that show. So yeah, a lot of sitcoms. I grew up with a whole bunch of them, and I get a lot of inspirations from 1990 era sitcom, because this is, you know, that was a different time, but a lot of it still holds up today, even though some of it didn't age well. A lot of the good message and moral and takeaway and all that other stuff still can retain in this day and age. But I think Disorderlies does that too, because even though there's no way they could make a movie like that today, because it would be considered, you know, politically incorrect and blah, 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 blah. No, it's the whole soul behind the film is the fact that you can do new things, because the father, when he meets the orderlies, at first he hates them. He doesn't like them at all, but you know, they charm. They have fun with him. They take him out, and you know, he realizes, I've been missing out. You know, I've been cooped up far too long, and I need to go live my life. So that's a good lesson from that. I mean, it's more about, you know, going out, seeing things, doing things, enjoying life, rather than just staying in one place and remaining cooped up. That's just not how you live. That's more like how you sentence yourself to an early death. And as someone who likes to travel, like I say, I vouch for that wholeheartedly, because I love seeing the world, and hopefully I do get to see the entire world. I've just seen a lot of the different 50 states, not all 50 states, but hopefully I get to see all of them before I, you know, shuffle off this mortal coil. Most of them I have. I just think it's out there to be explored. It's out there to be enjoyed for us, because I mean we're meant to. It's part of what makes us human is exploration, you know, adventure. So that's all I got to say about Disorderlies. I loved it. I thought it was a wonderful film. I think all people could enjoy it. There's a little bit of you know, swear words and stuff, but depending on the children of your family, it you know, they probably hear worse on the playground. So I mean, it's mild in comparison to a lot of it. I mean, back in the 90s, that was just, you know, I got in trouble. There's a story. I'm going to tell you a story. When I was a kid, I went to see Three Men and a Baby, one of my absolute favorite films of all time. I got in trouble for saying the S word when I was back in grade school. Yeah, because I had a bit of a potty mouth. And that's why, you know, I only swear when I'm really angry, and that's very rare. But then I turned to Tony Soprano. But, you know, back in the day, it was less filtered. I mean, you hear a lot of that stuff in R-rated films. But, I mean, in PG movies, the S word, I mean, was not even considered a bad word. And you heard it a lot. I'm like, that's more like PG-13 territory nowadays. What happened? But I just thought it was interesting looking back, because things have changed. I guess they changed the rating system for swears and whatnot. But I mean, the whole thing is, it didn't matter to me, because it was just the characters, and it was funny. To me, it was very humorous that, you know, they would talk like that, you know, this high cultured kind of atmosphere, and them talking all gangster, and this is funny, you know. I mean, I found it amusing, and it made me giggle. So, because I can understand that too. Because when I was younger, my dad had connections, so we used to go and enjoy high tea quite a bit, but I felt kind of like an imposter, because I thought, what are we doing here? I am lower middle class, and we're enjoying a very high class high tea with very posh folks. But it was weird, because when we would go to the Canterbury, I didn't feel like I was an imposter at all, because I felt like, oh, these are my people. None of them were snooty or, you know, would talk down to you. I mean, everybody was so nice, and I just felt like I was part of the crowd. So, I mean, I can fit in both worlds very easily, honestly. But there's that dichotomy there that I enjoy immensely. But you can see that there's a breach, and you see we're all, the takeaway is we're all people, and the fat boys, what they're trying to do is just get the old codger out of his comfort zone, which they do, and he has a good time, and he realizes, hey, you know, I'm not really living my life. And then he realizes that he just needs to get out more. He just needs to see more of the world. He just needs to live rather than, you know, staying locked up inside of his mansion. I mean, there's nothing inside that mansion for him, just old dusty relics that are taking up space and, you know, not doing anything for him but appreciating value. So he decides that, you know, what better way to really enjoy life than to get out there and, you know, experience it. So I think that was the big takeaway from Disorderlies, and I absolutely loved it, and I couldn't recommend it more. Till next time, live on prosper. Ciao, tutti.